Hi, this is Evan Hutcherson, and I wanted to go over a few different types of cost codes you can use for your construction company. Um, I have I have a few samples here, A, B, C, and D, and they are from four different companies I work with, and as you'll see, they're all a bit different, and it just depends on what you want or what you need for your particular business. But this guy, he's got everything. As you can see, the different codes, and I'll talk about this in a second. Each code goes to a cost of goods sold account on the general ledger. So these aren't going to show up on your P&L statement. All these items, it's going to on the P&L on the general ledger. It's just going to show direct cost, materials, subcontractors, labor, and so forth. This is more for your P&L by job, or when you're looking at different reports for a particular job. So this is specific to job costing. It's extremely important, as you probably know if you're in the construction business. But usually it goes somewhat in order of the timeline of the building. So for him, you'll see this category: general requirements. You have permitting, water tap fees, sewer tap fees, job site signage, utilities, temporary toilets, dumpsters, cleanup, and so forth. Then you have site work, which involves these categories. Then concrete, which involves these. Then masonry, metals, woods and plastics, thermal protection, doors and windows, finishes, specialties, and so forth. So this is a commercial contractor, and that's what he uses. The other three I have right here are residential. This guy has permitting, ancillary, site work, foundation, framing, exterior. See how it all kind of goes in order, and then you have all the subcategories. Exterior has windows, exterior doors, roof materials, labor, exterior columns, brick, and so forth. Mechanical, electrical, insulation, flooring. And of course with these residentials it'll be a little more uniform. So this person had this is a client I have who he he swears by having as many cost codes as he can possibly have, and it works for him. He's very organized, and he doesn't, if there's a specific cost code or a specific expense, he's not going to put it in one cost code one day and another cost code the next day. But most contractors, if you have this many cost codes, it doesn't really work well for you, because you're going to be putting stuff in different categories even when it's the same, just because there's so many that are similar. But it works for him. I mean, he stays on top of it. So like I said, I mean, this is creating the cost codes are up to you. You got to do what works best for you, unless you're using something like AIA. But in these people's cases, they are doing their own cost codes. As you can see, he's got about 1,000 of them, and he does a great job of keeping them in order. So that's what works for him. And then this guy right here, he was one of my first clients actually, and he kind of just threw it all together. I mean, he's got pre-construction, site work, excavation, concrete, masonry, framing, roofing, doors, and there's only a few sub items per category, as you can see, but he makes it work. But like I said earlier, as you can see here, these cost codes are going to specific items or specific expenses on the general ledger. So these don't show up on the GL. You have the GL right here. This is just an example of one. Then you have your balance sheet items, your income, and then you have your direct cost. And your direct costs are what all these are going to go towards. You have direct labor, subcontractors, material, and so forth. I'll just pull up a QuickBooks. here's one of the examples right here of some of those items. Now these are the items list, so if you go to banking, you write a check to ZZZZ, quick add, vendor, you might want to put it under an item. Or let me do this first. Let me show you something real quick. Under the chart of accounts, or I'm sorry, under the item list, we'll just go to anything. I mean, framing package. So that's going to show up on your job cost reports. But on your P&L, what you want to do is go to each one of these items, edit them to go towards an actual, let's see, direct cost. Here's the direct cost. So this is a framing package. So it'll go to direct cost materials. And I must switch to single user mode. Of course, I'm not in single user mode, so it won't let me switch. But that's kind of the gist of it. The framing labor, you would go to direct costs, subcontractors if you use subs to do your labor, to do your framing, and go from there. And then when you pull up a profit and loss statement, the profit and loss statement won't show these items. It'll show direct cost, labor, subcontractors, materials, and so forth. So that's the way you want to do it, and that also helps you see different types of scenarios. So you can see your expenses as detailed job cost, or you can see your expenses broken down into labor and materials. And that's what you're going to use for your tax return anyway, so you want to do that. But if you're using, say you want to look at your estimate versus your actual expenses, you don't want to just look at the labor and the subs. You want to look at all of this to see where you're over and under budget. And that's why these reports, if you go to job reports, all of these are by these item codes. You go to your regular overall company profit and loss statement, then that's going to be your general ledger accounts for your income and your expenses. So I know that's a really quick run through, but hopefully that just gives you a quick idea of what your options are in creating cost codes. Thanks.